Hello, welcome to this hints and tips video for Spindle document management. My name's Thomas and I'm going to take you on a tour of our hints and tips for those of you who are using or thinking about using our Spindle document management solution. Now before we get started, let's have a little closer look at who Draycir are. So we're based in the UK, but we sell our software throughout the UK and throughout the world, really focusing on creating solutions that drive efficiency around document management, process automation and through credit control. We've got about 4,500 customers across the globe and we sell through our business partner network. Now today we're going to focus on products that work around the Sage 200 solution. Now in this video the hints and tips are very much focused around Spindle document management, which consists of two main products, Spindle document distribution and Spindle document capture. We'll even have a touch upon pay them as we work through the video today. So to start off with, why are we having a hints and tips video? Well, Spindle was actually created over 22 years ago. So during that time, functionality has changed massively in terms of the product. So today we're going to have a look at all those new features that were created over the years that you might not be making the use of, but actually are available for you to use. Now, some of these features might not have existed when you first took the product. They've been added further down the line. So it might require you to upgrade your version of Spindle that you're using, or potentially just configure it so that it uses some of the functionality that's made available to you. Some of this might be chargeable for your business partner, but the key thing, a lot of what we'll go through today is just making the most of the product that you already have. Some features might be an upgrade to your existing license, and if anyone finds anything they see today particularly interesting, then please get in touch with us. We can provide you the slide deck required if you want to share it internally. But other than that, please sit back and enjoy the rest of the video where hopefully you can find out a couple of hints and tips on the way that you can improve the way that you're using Spindle document management. Okay, so to kick off today, we're going to have a look at the first element, which is Spindle document distribution. Now that's the element that's been around for the longest. All those 22 years ago, the idea of sending emails out was cutting edge. But obviously now 22 years later, technology has moved on. However, there's lots of efficiencies that can be achieved by using the Spindle document distribution solution. So first of all, let's look at the corporate identity side of things. So most people, when they got Spindle integrated back in the day, just had plain text emails, "Dear Sir, Madam, please find attached your invoice." But often as organizations, we spend a lot of money, we put a lot of effort into our corporate identity. So that's all our fancy looking websites with our branding. It can be literature that we send out to our customers. And then often when we send a document out from our finance department, it can be often quite plain text. "Dear Sir, Madam, please find attached your invoice," plain text and so on. So did you know with Spindle, actually you can create really nice looking HTML emails. This can be all consistent with your logos and your branding of how your organization is branded currently. You can add lots of color to them. You can put hyperlinks in those emails through to your website or through to more relevant content that you might want your customers to see. And most importantly, you can bring through lots of additional fields from Sage as well. So not just things like the contact name and email address, but if there is specific information that relates to your customers that you want to bring through and populate within that email at that point in time, then you can do. And that's something Spindle's really, really good at. On the actual document itself, again, we take the base document that's produced via Sage, but we can add our overlays and backdrops to this to enhance the look of the physical document. This enables us to enhance the corporate identity of those documents. And as we'll see a little later on, we can even improve the range of documents if you do have different brands, different business units, and so on. So in this scenario here, we've actually got a statement email. As you can see, I've put all my logos in there. So I've got my logo. We're putting through things like the aging information. So if you send statements out using Spindle, did you know you could pull through that aging information? Whether the debt is current, 30, 60, 90 days overdue. If you have different aging bands, that's not a problem. Again, we'll replicate what you use within Sage for that. This is a really effective email because it helps us highlight to the customer where their debt is. How much debt do they have current, or how much debt do they have over 120 days overdue? In this case, we've even added a link to our portal because we have a customer portal. We do a portal called Spindle Self-Serve for anyone who's interested in having a customer portal where their documents reside, so their customers can log on and have access to that. But again, if you don't have your own portal, it can even be linked back to your own website. So another key area of Spindle in terms of functionality is adding attachments. Now, often many of you will be very familiar when you send a document out via Spindle that it attaches that document to the email when it sends it out. And that can be your invoices, statements, purchase orders, and so on. But did you know you can actually add additional attachments onto anything that Spindle sends out? Now, that could be in the case of where we've just seen there, where we're sending out a statement. We can go and attach all of the invoices that relate to that statement, attach them to the email, and they can be automatically emailed out to the customer. Now, there are some caveats that as long as those invoices sit within the document management solution, for example, we can go and get access to them. But it could be a promotional flyer. It could be the latest price list if you wanted to. If there's always a reason why you always want to attach a document when you send a document out using Spindle to all your customers or a specific group of customers or suppliers, this is exactly the kind of thing that Spindle can automate for you. And remember, for Spindle, once this is set up, from a user's perspective, it's just create a document, print it to Spindle, and it's as simple as that. So it could be a promotional flyer to invoices, it could be to any other document type that you have. Prices, as we mentioned, other documents, it could be sign-off documents, whatever you want to add on there. So going back to our example that we have here, we've got a copy of our statement email, but as you notice, we've got a copy of the statement, and now we've gone and attached all of the invoices that relate to this particular statement, and we've attached them to the email as well. This is a massive benefit for many of our users and their accounts departments, because quite often when we send a statement out, the next thing we get from a customer is an email back asking, can we send a copy of the invoice? By giving them all the information they need in one go, it means that we're going to stop those requests. And most importantly, the customer's got all the information they need, particularly to make payment for us. So for those of you who have different business units, different brands, maybe you're have the same one company, but you've got different divisions within that company or different branded customers within that company, then quite often that can add an extra complexity to stationery sets when you have them. Now, that's a great thing that Spindle can assist you with as well. And actually, even if it's within the same batch, so if I'm printing off 100 invoices, for example, 30 of those invoices could relate to one particular brand. For the next 30 customers, it could relate to another particular brand, and Spindle will make sure it uses the right stationery set for the right branding associated with the right customer. Now, quite often this can be driven by different business units within Sage, but even if it's all within the same business unit, using something like an analysis code against a customer account, we can define that they have a different stationery set and different templates, and that's within the email and the document itself to the next brand within your company. It may be that you're a single brand, but you have different types of customers. Again, using that analysis code function, we can ensure that even though we're sending out the correct branding, it may be that we have a slightly different email template for one particular group of customers than we do for the next. For some of our customers, it can even go down to things like languages. So obviously from a Sage 200 perspective, it produces many of its documents out in a base UK language. However, our email templates are template driven. So actually our template could be created in French or in Spanish. It's just a template. Spindle doesn't do the translation, but once it's set up for you, we can use something like the country code to say, actually, if this country's customer's based in Spain, we're going to use an invoice email template that's in Spanish. Yes, our document produced from Sage is still in English, but even then we could add in terms and conditions and attachments, which would be in a different language if we wanted to. How does Spindle work for that? Well, as I mentioned before, we always take that base product that's produced via Sage, and then we add all of our overlays and backdrops to it to enhance those layers and build up the document. Even things, say, in this example here, where we've got an overdue stamp on our statement. Again, if our statement isn't overdue, then we wouldn't get an overdue stamp. However, as soon as there's something that's overdue featured on that particular statement, then Spindle can add that overdue stamp. This case replicating something that many of you used to do many years ago when we had a big red overdue stamp on our desk, used to print off the statements, stamp the ones that are overdue, pop them in the post and send them out. Kind of doing the same thing, but this time doing it the electronic way. Also, for any of you that require a little bit more assistance around your internal communications. Now, for many Spindle users, they also answer that by saying, no, I don't think we do. But if you have account managers, salespeople, quite often they benefit from being kept in the loop of anything that we distribute from the accounts department. Now, common examples of that would be, can I automatically send a copy of an invoice out when I send it to the customer, also send it out to the account manager or salesperson who's linked to that particular account? It could be a purchase order out to a project manager. These emails are automatically processed. So again, from a user perspective, there's nothing extra we need to do. We just create our invoice, send it out to Spindle. Spindle sends a copy to the customer. But at the same time, we can send a copy to the account manager, letting them know that that invoice has now been placed. Now, it could be a statement, but in all honesty, would a statement need to be sent out to an account manager if the statement isn't overdue? Probably not. However, if the statement is overdue because something on that statement, one of those invoices has now reached the point where it is overdue, Spindle can automate it so that if the statement isn't overdue, we don't send a copy to the salesperson, but if it is overdue, we do. And that's one that a lot of our customers really, really benefit from. How does that look in more detail? Well, the great thing is with Spindle, even our customer copies of these documents, such as this invoice here, can have a different email template and a different looking document than our salesperson's copy. In this case, on the right-hand side, our salesperson's copy, dear Jimmy, well done, an invoice has been processed on your account, some top-level information in case they're out and about and they just want to quickly glance to see what this customer is. Even down to the document itself differing. On our customer copy, we can have our overlays and backdrops, pay now buttons on there. But actually for our internal copy, we're just going to brand it up as a salesperson's copy. They get a copy of that, so they don't need all the extra terms and conditions and so on, which the customer would receive. Again, these things are really easy to achieve. They just need setting up within your existing Spindle solution. Once they're configured to use this kind of functionality, you just create the documents and send them to Spindle exactly as you would do at the moment. And finally, archiving. So with Spindle document distribution, we have the ability to archive with Sage 200. Anything that we send out automatically gets archived in Sage against the account and the transaction it relates to. Now, that can be at transaction level. So if it's a sales invoice, it can be against the invoice transaction. If it's a purchase order, against the purchase order transaction. But it can also be at customer level as well. So if I'm sending loads of invoices out for my customer, Abbey Retail, I can go to my customer and I can look at those invoices. Likewise, it could be supplier level. Again, customer statements, we can archive them at customer level rather than sending them out and archiving them at transaction level, for example. In addition to viewing those documents back within Sage against the transactions they relate to, we can also got access to the Spindle document management search tool, which allows us to do more criteria-based searching. I always best describe it as, think of it like a search tool for your filing cabinet. If you want to know what document you wish to get access to, then you go within Sage and you look at that transaction. But if I said, can I see all documents that were archived on Wednesday and Thursday last week, for example, now that's where with the Spindle document management search tool, we can do criteria-based searching. We can ask the search tool for that range, and it will pull back all those documents associated with that particular range. Fantastic for looking at a group of documents, also very good for auditing as well. When those auditors require a certain range of documents, we can easily get access to them. Even using our Pay Them solution, which is our instant payment button, which we'll come into a little bit later on, those documents can be archived to the cloud. So actually, in our scenario earlier on when we were sending out a statement, instead of attaching all the invoices to that statement email, we could put in a hyperlink to Pay Them. And when the customer clicks on that link button on the statement to go and make a payment on one of those invoices, they can instantly get access to those invoices which sit within the cloud, saving having to attach them onto a email every time and making and improving the customer experience. If you wanted to take it a step further, then again, we've got that customer portal, which is called Spindle Self-Serve. Spindle Self-Serve will take all of your document management archive. So all of those documents you've sent out via Spindle document distribution, it will take that archive and it will make it available via a customer portal where customers can log in, they can get access to their account, they can see the statuses of orders, and they can also see the documents that relate to those orders. But the great thing about Spindle Self-Serve is you remain in control. So you decide what documents that customer can see, and even down to which customers have access to the portal in the first place. So just having a look in a little bit more detail of what that document management archive looks like. So these are all of our standard Sage 200 screens. And as we can see against each transaction screen that I'm in here now, so I'm just in the transaction inquiry screen for Abbey Retail, list of all my transactions. I now get some extra functionality with distribution. And it's that view document button. As we can see, there's a 1 against it so far, indicating that I've got one document. And when I click on that, it's going to take me through to Spindle document capture search tool, where I can go in and see and get access to that specific document and view that document back. Now, those documents will relate to all the other areas within Sage where I might want to view them back, most notably something like the nominal ledger. So yes, if I've produced a sales invoice in the sales ledger, we can view it back. If I've created it in sales order processing, I can see it in there and the sales ledger. But most importantly, I can see it back in the nominal ledger against the trader transaction. I can also go and get access to that invoice, and it links to all the other areas within Sage where I want to view that document back. So really, really useful. And again, you just carry on using Sage the way you do at the moment, with that added benefit of being able to view the document back within the transactions. Alternatively, as we discussed before, we've got that search tool. Here's our document management search tool. As you can see here, just entering a simple account code, I can now bring back all of the documents that are associated with that particular account code. In this case, I'm going for the range of documents, anything from their statement to their invoices. You can see on the left-hand side of our document field, so we've got things like document type, archive date, so I can start refining that filter down further. Now, depending on the document type that you archive, depends on what information appears on that filter. So we can even get into things like nominal codes, cost centers, departments, and so on. Okay, final bit to touch upon then from a distribution perspective is, did you know you can also add instant pay links to any of the documents you send out via Spindle? We link to 3 different payment providers currently. So we work with Draycir, which are powered by Total Processing, one of our payment partners. We work with a company called Elevon, which are formerly Sage Pay, and we also work with Stripe. So any of these payment providers, if you're interested in using them, speak to us. We can help you through the sign up process. And then you can create a Pay Now button on any of the documents you send out via Spindle. Most notably things like a pro forma invoice, a sales invoice, and a statement. And when the user receives that, so when your customer receives that document with that instant pay button on there, they click on it and it takes them through to a payment gateway where they get a number of different payment options. That hyperlink can also be within the actual email itself if you wanted to when it's sent out via Spindle. So what does it look like? Here we've got 2 examples. We've got one example within the email itself. So we can see here we've created the hyperlink and we've added that within the email. But on top of that, we've also got a button where we can say pay and view invoices, and that's automatically been added onto our invoice or onto our statement. There's a range of different wording options and colors and so on, so it's really easy to add. And again, you've got that kind of full control over what you want that to look like. Once the customer clicks on the button, they're then taken through to their payment gateway. Now, it's automatically already going to populate all the amounts of the invoices that feature within that statement or on that particular pay button. And it's going to give them some payment options, in this case, to pay by card. And we've got other payment methods coming soon. Here from a statement, for example, you can see that they've got a view document button. So if you wanted your invoices archived up into Azure, then they can get access to them. So we don't need to send copies of invoices to statement emails anymore. And as you can see here, we can clearly highlight which invoice has been paid, which ones are overdue, and which ones are still outstanding. Then as a user, they can click on each invoice they wish to pay, click on the Pay Now button, put in their card details. As a user of the Pay Them solution, you'll then get an email notification letting you know that someone has paid via the button. And from that point onwards, the payment will be collected from your payment provider and then provided back to you. Lots of these bits can be customizable, but hopefully that's been really useful in terms of looking at the Spindle document distribution product so far, and also the Pay Them solution, which forms part of that. So next we're going to have a look at Spindle document capture, and this is all about scanning and archiving documents coming into the organization. So we can often take those documents in a variety of different formats. There's different ways to capture documents. We can drag and drop them across and capture them into Sage 200. That's often really easy, particularly if we collect those documents out via email. Sometimes it doesn't even have to be a document. It could actually be the email itself. We know many of those customers now that say, yep, please go ahead with the order. Our order number is this. They don't actually send us a purchase order. They just want to send us the order number, and they put that in an email format. So why not capture that as part of our information? We can attach attachments. So like we say, it can be PDFs, but it can be other form of attachments as well if we wanted to, and we can link them to accounts and transactions within Sage. If we do have paper-based documents, then again, we can capture those paper-based documents, scan them, archive them. Once we've scanned them in, as long as we're keeping them securely, which we do as part of our Spindle document management solution, then we no longer need to keep the paper-based copies, and allows us really to make inroads at moving to that paperless office, which is something a lot of us desire to get to. Did you know that actually with Spindle document management, we even have a free iOS app that you can use for document capture to allow you to capture documents on the go and upload them into our pending tray area, our holding tray area, where someone in accounts can get access to those documents and start having a look at those documents coming into the organization to see which ones they want to link to the accounts and transactions, and maybe those ones that they don't. So let's have a look about how this works. So again, all featuring within Sage 200, we can get access to some extra controls now using Spindle document management and the capture solution. In this case, it's going to give us an option. So anywhere where we're entering a transaction within Sage, we've now got the option to decide whether we want to capture that document from a file, whether we want to capture it from a scan, whether we want to drag and drop it in, or maybe where we want to go to a pending tray area, that holding area in accounts, to see if the document situates within there. Once I've chosen my particular document, I can have access to it, and we're going to then capture that into the document management system, and most importantly, link it to the transaction that I'm currently on within Sage 200. In this case, I'm capturing my purchase order. As you can see on the left-hand side of this purchase order, the left-hand side of this red box, we're capturing all the metadata that's associated with this document. Now, this purchase order is always going to be linked to my purchase order transaction within Sage, so dead easy to find back. However, as we saw earlier on, by using that external search tool and maybe searching the order number, I can pull back not only this document, but all the other documents that are associated with this document within Sage. Go through another example here. We're going to capture a document from a scan. So therefore, I'm going to link to my local scanner, where I can put the document on the scanner, press scan, scan that document in, and capture the document accordingly. What it means then is, as I'm going through my process, and whether that's as simple as capturing a purchase invoice or going through the more complexities of sales order processing or purchase order processing, as you go about carrying out your normal activities within Sage, you're going to distribute documents out, which will automatically get archived against the right account and the transaction for us by using the Spindle document distribution product, or alternatively capture documents in through this scanning, archiving, drag and drop process. We can see that we're going to start to build up the document management archive that links to each of our transactions. So here we can see that just against an order, we're not just going to look for an invoice. We can actually see all of the documents that relate to that order. And here it's every document from the customer purchase order, the order acknowledgement we sent out, the proof of delivery, the picking list, and then we finish off with the sales invoice. Now, they might have all been captured using the sales order processing process, but we can then, once archived, view them all within the sales ledger as well, and then vitally for that sales invoice, view that back within the nominal ledger. You can see from the bottom of the screen that Spindle document management indicates now that it's got 6 documents stored against that particular transaction, listing out the 6 that are there. And at any of these, we can go in and view, and we can get access to these documents. So did you know as well, we also have the ability to archive documents using barcodes. Now, if it's a document that Spindle sends out, Spindle distribution, and for that, we're looking at things like picking lists or proof of deliveries. So those where they're produced as part of that order processing process, Spindle prints them out to a printer, but at the same time as printing them out to a printer, Spindle can automatically print a document management barcode on those documents. Now, no other format of the document has to change. So if you're using any third-party picking systems, that's absolutely fine. The document management barcode will feature on that particular document. And what that means is that document can go out and get signed from a picking list, come back at the end of the day, gather all the picking lists up, pop them on the scanner, scan them using our document capture tool, and they can automatically get archived against the account and the transaction that those picking lists relate to. Exactly the same thing applies for proof of deliveries. We can print out those proof of deliveries, go out with the drivers, get signed by the customers as the goods are delivered, come back into the office at the end of the day, batch scan them all in, and then automatically, reading the barcode for each of those documents, get archived against each of the relevant orders those proof of deliveries relate to. So really, really useful if you are still using those documents and you do happen to maybe keep them in a box in the corner of the office, then actually they can be archived. And obviously once they're archived, they're secured and we can get rid of the paper-based copies. For any of those documents that are third parties that we don't print out using Spindle, then again, we can print barcodes onto a sticky label and we can put them on the documents. And most notably, that's ideal for things like GRN notes, because we never made that GRN as part of that goods received process. But it means then that as those GRNs come in, we can record them within Sage, print off a little barcode label. You might get them from a little Dymo label printer, stick them on our GRN, scan again them all in at the end of the day. They can actually be mixed with the other document types, archive them, and then they can get linked against the relevant orders they relate to. How does that look? Well, at the end of the day, when we take those documents back, just by popping them in the scanner and then launching our scan tool, as they're archived in, you can see here that our picking list at the top's been noted as having a barcode. The system has recognized that, and because it's recognized it, it's noted that it's a proof of picking. It's pulled up all of the metadata that's associated with that account, and that means that as soon as we press archive, it's going to get archived against the account and the transaction that it relates to, making it really quick and easy, and like I say, no longer needing to have a paper-based copy of the document. That picking list will then appear, in this case against the sales order, so we've got an exact copy that was sent out. Again, if any customer queries this order in the future, we haven't got to go look through a box of all the paper-based copies. We can see exactly the proof of delivery as it was signed off by the picker, captured at the end of the day. We've got a copy of that document. Did you also know then the other big part about Spindle document management, particularly when we're combining the distribution with the capture side of things, is that we can auto attach any documents to any emails that go out via Spindle. So anything that appears in that document management archive in terms of documents that are stored and archived can instantly be attached to anything that we send out. Now, that's our invoices going out to our statements, for example, and we spoke about that one earlier on in the session today. But it can either be a signed proof of delivery can automatically be attached to an invoice when we send it out. So all those signed proof of deliveries that came back after the order, well, actually the next day, once they're archived in, if I go and do my invoicing run, Spindle can go and attach all of the relevant proof of deliveries and attach them to the invoice when we're sending them out to the customer. So kind of then saying to the customer at that point, here's your invoice, here's the proof that you've received it, you've now got everything you need in order to make payment with us. But that could be a certificate of conformity against a dispatch note. It can be anything that relates to a particular stock item. For example, when we're sending an invoice out that relates to that stock item, again, that can be automatically attached. It could be a photo of finished work in there as well. And many, many more examples. Pretty much if there's a reason you always need to attach a document when you send it out via Spindle, then there's probably a way that we can automate that for you. It's a really, really powerful way that many of our customers use Spindle and really maximize the efficiency they get from the product. In this case, we've just done out an invoice run, and we can see here that Spindle's gone and attached the proof of delivery that relates to this particular invoice. To finish up with on the capture side of things, we've got an app. It's free to use, so you can go in, you can download that today, and really enables you to capture documents if you don't have access to a physical scanner at that point in time. It can be photos of uploaded vehicles, it can be photos of finished items that have been delivered, it can be photos of paperwork if you wanted to. The idea is that the operator of the app can take a photo of that particular document, item, paperwork, loaded vehicle, whatever it would be. They can tag that with information so we know, or the person looking at that photograph knows what it's for, what order it's for, what customer it's for, and that can be tagged freehand by the user. And then it can be uploaded into our pending tray, which is our holding area where everyone in accounts can have access to. From there, we can go in and we can start seeing all these photographs that come into the organization, and then we can start assigning to the relevant orders if we feel we need to. How does that look? So this is on the left-hand side, you can see a copy of our app. We can take a picture of a document, we can add a title to it, we can put some tags in there so we can easily see what that looks like. And in that pending tray, that holding area where everyone in accounts who has a document management license has access to, can go in there, look at the tags, see what it is, and from here we can then assign it to the relevant transactions as we need to. So it's a really great tool. It's available to all of our sites that use Spindle document management, so we really recommend that people get involved in this. Okay, a couple of extra things that you might not be aware of when we kind of wrap up the session today. We have lots of additional integrations for Spindle document management. Some of these are new, some of them are existing as well. But if you use any of these modules, then it's possible to link Spindle document management as a document management solution with these additional modules you might be using. Now that can be anything from Sage Project Accounting or Sage Bill of Materials. We have a very close partnership with our construction partner, Equa2, who do the Construct product, and Spindle document management works with this. We work very closely with a solution called Sim200, which has an alternative manufacturing solution for Sage 200. And again, Spindle document management has an integration into this manufacturing solution. We also work with Cycon manufacturing, particularly around projects and works order processing as well. All of these integrations are available and are supported with Spindle document management. So Spindle document management is very much focused around manually capturing documents at the moment. But if you did want to take it a step further and start looking at things like OCR, optical character recognition technology, on how you can automate the entry and the capturing of documents even further, then we do have a product called Spindle Purchase Invoice Recognition. That allows you to automate the entry of purchase invoices and the documents associated with purchase invoices into Sage 200. And what we're removing here is the manual need to actually key in the purchase invoice. And we're looking at technology around extracting the data from a purchase invoice, doing the matching against a purchase order or a goods received note. If everything's correct, posting that transactional information into Sage 200 along with a copy of the actual purchase invoice archived in the right place as well. This technology has been around for many, many years and used to be quite expensive. However, through our partnerships with Canon, which we used in order to create this OCR technology and then build it and plug it into Sage 200 and into the document management solution, we've really managed to bring the cost down. So it's now a very affordable product, and it means that even if you're just doing a couple of hundred purchase invoices a month, you can benefit from this automation. We also have an approvals tool which features as part of purchase invoice recognition as well. So it allows you to make online invoice approvals before that invoice ultimately ends up posted within Sage 200. So it's a really, really good solution. It takes automation of purchase invoices to the next level and starts looking at the entry and automating the entry around that. So if it's something you're interested in, please reach out to your Sage 200 partner who will be able to arrange a demo, or please get in touch with the Draycir sales team who will be able to work with your partner to arrange this. Now, the way that the Spindle Purchase Invoice automation solution works is receiving that invoice from an email or dragging and dropping it over from an inbound email, or even scanning it in if you still want it to. It will then extract the data from the actual purchase invoice and then take that data. And we're not just talking about totals, we're talking about line totals as well. So unit price, quantity that we've received. And using that data to check against the relevant purchase orders and goods received notes for that particular order. If something doesn't match, so if that invoice extracted doesn't match what's expected to be on the purchase order, then again, we can send that to verification from a user so they can have an extra look at that. If it does match, or once it has been verified, we can then decide whether that invoice needs approval or not. And we have an online approval tool as part of the invoice recognition process. We actually have that approval tool for free, so you can have as many users as you wish for that, and gives that user an email notification letting them know that they need to make that approval. Once that approval has been made, and again, you can skip the approval part if you wish, then ultimately the transaction ends up posted within Sage along with a copy of the purchase invoice. So definitely recommend having a look at the Spindle document recognition product and the approval solution if you spend a lot of time processing purchase invoices. So today, just to recap, we've looked at Spindle document management and the elements that form Spindle document management, notably Spindle document distribution, Spindle document capture, and pay them. We've had a little look at Spindle document recognition and Spindle approvals at the end as well. In terms of next steps, if you're not sure what you've already got, please get in touch. Give us a call at Draycir, or drop us a line to sales@draycir.com, and we can work with you to understand exactly what licenses you have. Or most importantly, speak to your Sage 200 business partner that supports you with your Draycir product. They'll be able to give you costs for upgrades and some of the additional modules that we spoke about today. If you want to have a more in-depth demonstration, we've got a fantastic partner management team which work with all of our Sage 200 business partners to give you full one-on-one online demonstrations, which can be rarely made applicable to exactly the areas within Sage 200 that you use, and not just seeing an overall video like we've looked at today. To arrange this, please contact your Sage 200 account manager and we'll be able to set this up with you and arrange this. In terms of who installs, upgrades, configures, and trains the software, we work completely in conjunction with your Sage 200 business partner. So if you have a chat with them, we'll be able to talk through the install and upgrade process. But as Draycir, we very much work with our business partners in order to deliver our solutions. Now, to finish off with today, we're going to give you a final glimpse on a new product that's been created for us. This product is one of our newest solutions, and it works specifically for Sage 200 Professional, and it's called Credit Hound Cloud. So many of you might be aware of Credit Hound. It's been around for many, many years as an on-premise solution. So now actually we have a cloud version of the product. Really what Credit Hound Cloud allows you to do is to automate the email reminders that you send out in order to chase customers in order to get paid on time. As soon as invoices become due, or even just before those invoices become due, Credit Hound can automatically send out email reminders to make sure that customers are prompted to make payment. We can even put in automated tasks. So for those customers that you want to give a call or that you think that need a call, Credit Hound can automatically put diary entries in a calendar within Credit Hound, so it prompts you to make those calls. And the most effective way that we can reduce the amount of time it takes you to get paid is by moving from reactive credit control, which is often just chasing the oldest and the largest debt, to being more proactive. By being proactive, it means we can chase those debts that aren't even due yet. On any of those emails we send out, we can put in instant payment links. So looking at that pay them solution that we've touched upon today, we can add that in, and it means that customers can instantly make payment with us. And we can even view those invoices via that pay them solution. So in the same way we could view invoices against statement in something we touched upon a little bit earlier, we can view those invoices to anything that we send out using pay them solution. If Credit Hound, if you chase any debt at all, or you've got a lot of invoices outstanding, definitely have a look at Credit Hound Cloud. You can get a 30-day trial and it's really easy to set up. Speak to your partner about it and they'll be able to give you some more information. So for me, that concludes our video today. I really appreciate you taking the time out to watch the session. Hopefully you've picked up some points that you might be able to make a little bit more use of the product that you're using already, or spotted some additional modules that you think might benefit for you. Always feel free to get in touch with myself or the team at Draycir, or speak with your Sage 200 business partner who will be able to assist. But for me, that concludes our video, and I'd like to thank you very much for taking the time to watch. Bye-bye.